So looking at Lesson 9 in Code.org in Unit 3, we're going to be learning how to use text and add those to our animated scenes. So we will be learning how to caption things like a cartoon created in GameLab so that we can create our own captioned animations. So in Bubble 2, in the first practice bubble here, we have a prediction. So before we can move on to the next, to hit run and see what happens, we have to answer the question. Read the code below and make a prediction. What will show on the screen and where will it be displayed? Well, I know from past experience that when I see two numbers right after something that goes on the screen, a lot of times that is X and Y coordinates. X is the distance across, Y is the distance down. So hello is 10 across, which is very close to the edge on the left-hand side, and 200 down will be in the middle. So I think that hello is going to be midway on the left side, and I think that everyone is going to be over to the middle and down a little below the middle. So kind of in this area, the lower middle section. So I'm going to put my prediction. Hello will be displayed on the left and middle at 10 to 100. And I'm not capitalizing these really on purpose because they're not capitalized in the code. So these are, so everyone with exclamation point will be in the middle towards the bottom of the screen. All right, let's see if this is correct. So kind of, hello is in the middle. Everyone starts in the middle, but it's not centered. So we want to keep that in mind, that it looks like that the coordinates are where the text starts, not centered. So I'll keep that in mind as I move forward. So going on to bubble 3, in this section, you can put text anywhere you'd like on the screen using text. That's the text block. Read the documentation by clicking on the block in the toolbox to see how to change the size and color of your text. Change the displayed text in the provided code. Add a second text block to write in a different part of the screen. So we're going to go to, I notice that this is a teal color, so even if I've forgotten, I know that it matches the drawing. So I'm looking for text, and it says to read the documentation. So we're going to come over here and look at see examples. And specifically, we have the text is followed by string X, Y, width, height. The string is the text that is displayed. So actually what you want to show up on the screen. And notice up here in the examples, they always put those strings in quotation marks. X and Y are both numbers, and they're going to give the X and Y locations from 0 to 400. And it does say, I was correct, that the location will start at that coordinate. The width and height of the area to type in, sort of like if you're making a text box, which we'll see that later. If we want to change the color, we call that text font. or I'm sorry, the fill and stroke. So we'll see what that looks like here. They don't give us that. We'll have to just play around with it. But text font and text size, text align. That's if we want to actually center it. Interesting. All right, and there's some other things to look at there. I'm gonna go ahead and close this for now. You can see that the background is light yellow and the text says change me and add another text block. So let's do that. I'm gonna leave the quotation marks and I would like to eat some pizza. Alrighty, so I have changed it. Let's reset it. Sure enough, that's what's going to show up. And it is at the 50 and 200. And if we want to change the size, notice that it tells us we have to do it in pixels. Now, if I come down below it and try to make it bigger, I did not change because the properties that we're changing have to go before the text is actually displayed. So let's try that. Oh yeah, now it's bigger. If I want to change the color, let's see if this changes it. Now it's blue. Excellent. What happens if we put fill over here? I'm very curious. Let's try yellow. So stroke being the outside, like the outline, we can give that stroke some weight to it with another one, which is probably somewhere else. So that's interesting. If I also make this say blue, it'll all look blue. There we go. All right. So it also says to add a second text block. Oops. So we're going to say, and then write it in a different part of the screen. So let's see, what do we want to say? All right, we'll stick with the pizza theme here. Now it says that this is going to be written at 0:15, which is going to be way up here in the very top corner. That would be fine if I was trying to keep a score, but I don't want it to be up there. I want it to be more down below. So let's make that maybe 5250. And that will be below where we've already written. I didn't even think about the fill and the text size and all of that stuff applies to both of those texts since they're above it and it doesn't change. So good to know. You can also say no stroke. Okay. If I did that, I would probably take the stroke out. All right, moving along. Continue. To bubble 4. Text size. Change the size of the text by using the text size block. And it says read the code to see how it works. And then add a new text size block to make the word large the biggest. So we see that small is indeed small. And I see that we have our background line, we have our text size, which is 20 pixels, and then text small. So that means that that word is 20 pixels. Then it changes the text size to 40 and writes medium and large. So medium then is going to be 40 pixels. We want to come over here to the drawing toolbox and put in text size above the large, and we want to make it something bigger than 20 and 40. So since we doubled to go from 20 to 40, I'm going to put this one at 80. So it'll be significantly bigger. There we go. That's all you have to change on that one. Notice that we're not changing any of the locations or any of that stuff. The XY coordinates are not a factor in this particular level. All right, in level 5, you have an A and a B. The first one is to change the order so that the text appears above the bars, but the snake is behind the bars. So we have a snake in jail, and he says, "Greetings." They called the snake prisoner. All right, kind of funny. Right now, the prisoner is out of the jail. We want to put the snake behind bars. So we can see that our sprites up here has been created, and the animation was set to snake. Then the background was drawn, and we have the word greetings, followed by some rectangles that are dark gray, which means that those are the bars. And we've learned in several lessons now that order is very important and order matters. So if we want the bars to appear on top, then they're going to be painted. If we think of a painting, the order would have to be that the snake would be first, followed by the rectangles, followed by the text in that order. So I see this up here, which is first, but my draw sprite command, which is actually what tells it to draw it, is way down at the bottom. So that, if we put that up top, that should send our snake to the back. Let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah. In fact, he's behind the background. We can't even see him anymore. Wow, I think I will move the background. Let's try this again. Where did the background go? I think I lost it. And I'm not 100% sure if that was just plain pink, but we're gonna go with pink. Good, that worked. All right, so now our snake is behind bars, which is wonderful. Now we have to get our text in front of the bar, saying greetings. All right, so we have black, no stroke, and the text size 50. All of this from line 5, no stroke, down to line 8, where it says text greetings, is all part of the commands to make that greetings appear. If we want it on top, we were painting a picture. Whatever we want to be out on top is what we're going to paint last. So I'm going to drag these things down. Actually, I'm going to leave the no stroke there because those rectangles, we don't want them to get borders on them. And I'm going to drag everything starting with the fill black. Text size, we're going to not change anything. We are just moving and changing the order. All right, notice that I haven't added any lines of text. I have not taken any text away. I've just reordered it. Let's see. And now it is correct. It's all about order. Order matters in coding tremendously. All right, the last one is to debug. We have something, the text is not appearing. We want to figure out why. And you notice that right now it is in text instead of in blocks. It will not let you go to blocks until we correct the error in the program. So, but it's the same thing as looking at the blocks, just without all the colors. Some of you guys work with the text all the time, so it won't worry you. But if you're not used to working with the text, it's the same thing as what you're used to seeing word-wise. They've already got it put in there. All right, the image is showing on the screen is what we want to happen, but instead the code doesn't run at all. And it gives us an error message. It says line 21, syntax error, unexpected token. I don't know what in the world that's supposed to mean. So let's see if we can just kind of look at it. We have our variables, and we are creating the different animations that go with it. And then we're telling it to draw the sprites. Text size is 20, stroke is black. Text what has, that's at 60/40. Wheels and flies, but is not an aircraft. And then we should see a garbage truck, but that is what it's not showing up. You can see that's where our red square is. What is different? So what I'm looking at here, this is not blue like all these others, and it's not blue. It's also not in a quotation marks. As soon as I add those quotation marks on there, it knows that that is the script that we actually want it to write on the screen. The string, I should say. And there we go. Now it works. What has wheels and flies, but is not an aircraft? A garbage truck. Not the kind of flies we're thinking of, huh? All right, finish. We're going to move on. This is a short lesson today. Bubble 6 is your assessment level. And I'm not going to do it because I want to see you do your own work. But if you have completed bubbles 2 through 5 on your own, this should be not too much. You should be able to do it. All right, here's a scene, but it needs text. We should be able to come over here and click Show Blocks if you prefer the blocks. And I encourage you, if you ever want to just try it with text, sometimes it's actually easier to read, and you can also add in things like spacing if you want to just make it a little easier. Stuff like that won't impact what happens, but it will kind of group those blocks to make them easier to read. All right, add 2 pieces of text to the following scene. Make the 2 pieces of text different sizes. So that is what you're going to be doing. If you want to get a full credit, 100, then what I will be looking for is 2 pieces of text that appear on the screen in reasonable places, and the text pieces are different sizes. So maybe you give this scene a title, maybe you have one of the characters talking, or you describe something that you see here. 2 different sizes of text. I do want to just point out that if under limited evidence it says that the text does not appear completely on the screen, if you type something and maybe it starts here but it's long and it goes off the screen, then you need to move it so that you can read everything that's over here in your workspace. All right, moving along. There are some challenges. So learn how to change the color of your text, rainbows in the sky. Learn how to make text stand out with a colorful stroke. Learning how to wrap text. These three especially teach you some new skills that I encourage you. And if you have time and you just want to play around, free play is down there. Rainbows in the sky. What would be something we could add to this little pretty picture? Rainbows in the sky. I wish I could fly. I don't know. We can make it whatever we want. Here's what it says to do. Change the color of your text using the fill block. So you can see fill is red, so rainbow is red. Fill is orange, in sky are orange. We want to make sky a different color. So they used fill. We are going to do the same thing. And yellow looks good. We'll kind of follow the Roy G. Biv. Rainbows in the sky. Now, add more text with even more colors. All right, so maybe we'll make this one green. And now we have to decide, what do we want it to say? Maybe I wish. Where do we want that to be? Probably over here under kind of where rainbows is. Maybe at the 200 Y, 50, 200. Well, let's see here. Rainbows is at 30, so we'll start it at 30. I notice that my Y's are increasing by 50. It's always good to look and see if there's any kind of pattern that you notice, and then continue that pattern. So I'm going to go back and do 30, 70, and 110 in my Y's. Follow that kind of a repeating pattern, and this is a growing pattern where we're adding 50 every time. So we're going to do fill. Let's see here. Let's call this one blue. I wish I could. $70, $100. And then finally, the last one, we'll make it purple so it matches the rainbow. I wish I could, not an exclamation point. This will just be fly, because it rhymes with sky. By the way, you could make this anything, say anything you want. Oops, I think I missed something a minute ago and I didn't change my Y value here to 250. Let's see how this looks. Rainbows in the sky. I wish I could fly. Excellent. I like the way that looks. I'm going to finish it. And you can see the grid is moving them over 50 every time, or 40, I guess, every time. All right, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly. This is mainly for if you guys get stuck. So in the white text, if we want to add a border, we can use the stroke command, and we can also use the stroke weight command to make it thicker. So right now we can see it's really hard to read the white text on the white background. So if I come over here and add the stroke weight, I'm going to put it underneath the stroke. And let's make it bigger. Let's try 10 pixels. That's a pretty thick line. Let's see what that looks like. Might be too much. Oh yeah, That looks kind of cool though. But let's try maybe not quite so much. About just 5. We'll go with half of that. Okay, that's not too bad. And so now it stands out more on the page. Kind of looks like text you might see in a comic book. All right, the last is the wrap text. And I think that this one is really important because sometimes we have a lot of text. We want to put things in a caption, little space, like speech bubble. We don't have a lot of room to write in. And so there are hidden parameters, optional parameters, I guess is the way they describe it. And we know that the first 2 tell us where we're starting to type. So this is starting at 30 and 200 over 30 down 200. So right there. Okay. And it is 50 is the text size. So we want it to be nice and big, but now we want it to fit on the whole screen. 4 and. All right, the last 2 parameters indicate the bottom right. So we've got the top, and where do we want it to end? If all 5 parameters are used, GameLab will try to fit the text inside a rectangle defined by the 2 points. So you can see we have our first XY coordinate and our second XY coordinate. And so here's our first corner, our second corner, and then GameLab will sort of imagine the rectangle, fill in the rest of it. So we're going to hit the arrows so that we see our other 2 parameters. And now we want to put in some other points. I'm thinking that we want something that's near the bottom right corner of the screen, which is going to be down here, like around the 350. So that's what I'm going to try. Oops, that says 250, doesn't it? We'll leave it there. Let's see what happens. 4 and 7. We still can't see years ago. So let's try 350. There we go. So now you can see we were able to fit it all on the screen in a little imaginary box, text box, so to speak. And we take the grid off, and you can see it's right there. And again, I use these last 2 parameters are the other XY coordinates that's the bottom of the screen. So right about in this area where it's 350, going the wrong way, and you go down or over. All right, so over here is my corner. Over here is where my starting corner is, bottom corner. That is all of the lessons, all of the bubbles in lesson 9. So hopefully this is helpful if you got stuck. And don't forget to submit your screenshot or picture of bubble 6 once you have that completed. Have a great day.